You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Want to taste a flight of rare agave spirits at Rick Bayless's award-winning Bar Sotano? Or on La Barca Cantina, the storied taco boat touring New York's Hudson River? Or do you want to drink a special lager from the Maine Beer Company? Or how about coffee? Want to start your morning with a Mexican roast from the genius crew at Dark Matter? Well, you can do all those things and support Sacred in the process. Sacred is a not-for-profit that helps improve quality of life in the rural Mexican communities that make heritage agave spirits. We ask Mescalerixes what problems they have, what solutions they imagine to resolve those problems, and what resources they need to enact those solutions. Then, we go out and try to find those resources for them. All of those businesses I just mentioned, Bar Sotano, La Barca Cantina, Maine Beer Company, and Dark Matter Coffee, all of them have special offerings on right now that support Sacred. To learn more about these supportive, creative ventures, visit sacredagave.org/fun. That's sacredagave.org/fun, because real fun is also doing real good. I'm Lou Bank.
I'm Bridget Albert.
And this is Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. And today, Bridget, I have you on because I want us to together, even though this is where we were in April, but this episode will be airing in December, I want us to celebrate National Bartender Day together.
Let's do it, brother. I love it. And I'm here on behalf of Served Up, the podcast, and I think we're going to have a great time.
I think so too. And so I wanted to have you specifically on because you did a little pre-interview with me for an episode of your podcast, Served Up, that I'm guessing has aired by now. So you did a pre-interview with me, and I can't remember if I asked you what you did or you asked me what I did, which led to you, but you started describing yourself, the things you do in life, who you are, and you didn't start with, I've got this podcast. You started with, I believe you started with, I'm a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
I am.
Go through the list with me. Who are you, Bridget?
Sure. So first of all, I identify as she, her. And I am a mother of a wonderful 20-year-old who goes to school at SCAD, which is Savannah College of Art and Design. I've also been married. It'll be 26 years, which is a very long time, to my husband and master brewery owner, Jamie Albert. And I've been in the industry for 30 years. So for a very, very long time. I come from a long line of female bartenders. My grandmother, her mother's mother owned a bar south of me in Coal City, Illinois. It closed down in the late 1940s, but I grew up with their stories. I have some of their artifacts as well. And all I can say is I went to college for 5 seconds and I hated it. I didn't like it. I didn't fit in. Don't do math. Not me. So I immediately, jumped behind the bar, felt like home. And I didn't leave. I had the opportunity to meet my mentor, Tony Abaganem, in Vegas, worked at the Bellagio as one of the opening bartenders for many years, started competing with my cocktails. And I wound up writing several books and contributing to books. Haven't really looked back on my career, Lou, so this could be a long answer. Worked with a lot of really amazing people here in Chicago and beyond, like Oprah Winfrey and blah, blah, blah. And then wound up being the first female on the Food Network, Iron Chef America. I contribute to the White House Historical Association happy hour, and I created Obama's signature cocktail the first time that he was elected president. And we could just go on and on and on. This is why I'm tired and I have lots of gray hair. But currently I am the senior director of external communications at Southern Glazers, where I created, founded a female hosted podcast called Served Up. where we reach the trade on topics that matter and beyond.
So I love all of that.
I need to take a drink of water.
Right? So I love all of that, and we'll have to flip back to Iron Chef because I got some Masaharu Morimoto stories, and I'm guessing that we can have some fun crossover there. But very specifically, what I love about what you just said is you might be the extreme version, but you remind me of every bartender, and to be fair, every wait staff person, every server that I've ever met. I think it's when we talk about National Bartender Day, I think it's really simple to boil it down to we're celebrating this person who gives us drinks. And every one of those people that I've had the pleasure of actually spending time with is so much more beyond. I don't want to say just that because I think that in itself is important, but I think it's imperative to us to recognize the multitudes that lie in each of us, and in particular the people who have decided that what they want to do for a living, to make a living, is to make sure that we have what we want as guests.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, folks, and thank you. That's a big compliment, by the way. I do take that to heart. So thank you, because I think that hospitality workers, start off, we serve, period.
Yeah.
Right? We serve, and we hopefully are creating some really beautiful, memorable experiences, these memories that pull you back into the space, whether it's a bar or a restaurant, wherever, a hotel, wherever it may be. So you want to bring your friends back, your family, back to that safe, warm place. And, bartenders definitely take a lot of shit, they really do. And so a lot of times they put themselves on the back burner and usually their customers first, which I think, and I hopefully, that's going to be changing a bit in our industry where we can have just a bit of a better balance. But bartenders really set the stage, I believe, for whatever establishment that they work in because they're out front, right? Typically the kitchen's in the back, unless it's one of those exposed kitchens. But typically 9 times out of 10, it's in the back. You don't always see the chef who's cooking your food. But when you walk into the bar, the first place you go or into a restaurant is usually find a seat at it, right?
Yep.
Whether you're waiting for your table or you're just, putting your feet up for the day. And so because you're on display all the time and you are sacrificing sometimes, whether your feet hurt, you got to go to the bathroom. There's so many things I could say that happen behind the bar. You maybe have just had lunch. You're eating it over a garbage can in the back, which I've been guilty of for sure because you don't have time to sit. I think that it's wonderful that there's a day to celebrate the people that serve us, that create those memories for us, that talk to us. But most of all, that listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly on point. I've got a good friend who moved from bartending to working in the nonprofit world. And he said to me that he felt so much better doing something meaningful now. And I stopped because I felt like I stopped him. I felt like I feel like the work of somebody who is in hospitality is meaningful. And there's that whole thing on the airplane, right? Like put your mask on first before helping others. And to your point, so frequently I see that they put their mask aside to help others. And so, I'm glad to see that he's feeling fulfilled working in nonprofits, but I'm more than a little heartbroken that he didn't recognize, that the industry didn't recognize, that we as a society don't always recognize that the work that people are doing, the work that people in hospitality are doing is necessary work. When you think about the pandemic and everything shut down, right? What were they called?
So bartenders were really considered, in hospitality were essential workers.
Yeah.
And we saw that we were able to maybe stay open a little bit with to-go cocktails, for instance. Liquor stores stayed open. And I think that folks really realized that those places are, especially, the bar, restaurants, were a soft place to land or an oasis many times.
Yeah, and I think that's key. They are essential workers. They always have been essential workers, and the pandemic put a fine point on that. And now, I know that Laura had Healthy Poor before the pandemic, but it feels to me like suddenly she's starting to thrive more, and these other nonprofits that are helping to take care of the people who take care of us are starting to grow. And that to me, it's not one day, right? It's a movement. It's not just one day for do we have a day for wait staff? I don't think there's a day for wait staff.
Yeah.
You and I can start that. We'll get the petitions together.
Let's do it. Yeah. And barbacks.
Yeah. Well, and I think that like if there's one thing I want to take away from National Bartender Day, it's that yes, they do deserve a day to be recognized, as does everybody in all of these different industries that ensure that our society feels loved.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a great bartender and you have that place where you are a regular, I think that that's really the feeling that's created, that warmth, that friendship, that camaraderie, that this is a place where you can come in as 100% your true self. And you can sit down and have a good time because that space has been created for you to create those memories in such a way that you can feel good about it. And one, like I said before, just wanting to bring like your friends and family back to have the same experience, or your first date, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think about this in the larger context of where we are as a society. And by the time this airs, we're recording in April, but by the time this airs, we'll have had our presidential election, right? And I'm really fearful that there's going to be such discord following the election, whichever direction it goes, that there's going to be this discord. And I feel like if more of the world acted the way that hospitality workers acted, where they weren't concerned so much with who you are, but what experience you have and how welcome you feel, that this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. The country is so divided right now. I think that if everyone, for their first job, took a job in hospitality, and I don't care what you're going to do. I don't care if you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, the president. But if you took your first job, even as a hostess, just so you have that human to human connection, but also you're serving another human in a way that's supposed to be thoughtful, in a way that you're really supposed to be creating that good experience and a safe space for someone, I think that would change the world.
Yeah. I had a couple of hospitality jobs, minor hospitality jobs, in my youth. And to me, the closest I got to actually being a server was when I was working at Rogue Ales out in Oregon, because I don't really have a religion. I'm sort of an apathetic agnostic. I don't know and I don't care. I would take holidays, Christmas Eve, Christmas, Easter. I would take the shift for somebody at one of our pubs so that they could go and spend it with whoever they wanted to spend it with. And I absolutely, it's different for me, right? Like one day is different than 5-6 days a week, but I absolutely loved being able to be that person that filled that role for somebody. And my head goes back to one evening when a Christmas Eve, when some guy had come in and he was clearly drinking too much and I had to cut him off, which wasn't an easy, like I didn't have all the training I should have had. But I after I did cut him off, and asked him if he needed help and like tried to get him, to his home, He told me, not brusquely, but he told me he's okay. And for a tip, he left me a note, and the note was an explanation of who he was, and he had just gotten out of prison that week and just had a halfway house to go to, and probably shouldn't have been drinking. But he was actually so grateful that I wouldn't let him drink more and wouldn't let him put himself at risk. And I think about how that action that waitstaff can have on the trajectory of somebody's life, we need more than just a day.
Yeah, we do. We need to be celebrated every day. And I really love that story. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Yeah. So what are you and I going to do to celebrate National Bartender Day besides this episode?
Well, you know what? I believe it's the day before my birthday, which is December 5th, which is Repeal Day. So I will probably be celebrating a mixture of both,
Do you think, is that a coincidence? It can't be a coincidence. That must have been like something that was set up by the gods of the calendars.
Yeah, I don't know. My ancestors were all in the biz, so they probably said, this is when she should be born. And like I told you before, I'm pretty sure that when I was born, just well preserved and pickled, and just ready to rock and roll, right, in the industry. But I love that both of these celebrations are back to back. You cannot celebrate one without the other, for sure. Without the celebration of the failed experiment that we had in the United States called Prohibition.
Oh, Bridget, I love that as a wrap to the episode. So unless you got something else to add.
Well, the only thing else I can add is that if you'd like to learn more about my podcast, Served Up, we are available everywhere that podcasts are. And if you check us out, appreciate it if you give us a like, a listen, and a review, only if you like it. If you don't, I don't want to hear from you. I'm kidding. No, I really don't want to hear from you if you don't like it. But but that's about it. And I just thank you, Lou, for having me on your show. It's been lovely.
Oh, likewise. And I'll put a link to Served Up on the episode page of Agave Road Trip. So thanks, Bridget, and I will catch up with you in another episode.
Thank you, Lou.
Hasta pronto. You've been listening to Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. We're blessed with sound engineering by Roy Sierra and a theme song performed by Gabriel Oliveira and Marco Ricos. Sign up to become a road tripper and listen to more episodes at agaveroadtrip.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. And if you hated it, well, I'm sure you'll let us know that too. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip is a production of 10 Angry Pit Bulls, Inc. Agave Road Trip is powered by Simplecast. Thank you for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. To subscribe to the Heritage Radio newsletter, enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with Heritage Radio Network on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find Heritage Radio Network at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization using the power of educational storytelling about food to build a more equitable, resilient food system. Heritage Radio Network couldn't do that without support from listeners like you. Become a part of the world's most innovative community today. Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the Heritage Radio Network family by becoming a member. To become a member of the Heritage Radio Network, click on the beating heart of our homepage. Heritage Radio Network can become addictive. Programming you hear on Heritage Radio Network might lead you to eat, drink, and listen to more programming on Heritage Radio Network. If you drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly, drive responsibly, eat responsibly too, and listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly. To listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly, wear protective earbuds. While wearing protective earbuds, do not drive, do not walk either. Sit in a comfortable chair. If that comfortable chair has a hard seat, please remember to stretch every 30 minutes. If you stretch every 30 minutes, please stay within your defined stretching capacity. And consult a doctor who specializes in stretching. If you don't have a doctor, maybe Dr. Ryan Acock, the Cocktail MD, can help you out. Thanks for listening. Agave Road Trip out.